We've had storm after storm out here on the central coast of California, and right now it's just starting to back off a little. But it's still going to be an extremely windy day, and you can see there's water everywhere. The streams are full, roads are a little wet, so why am I here to brave these elements? To see if I can catch a fish? Because I'm desperate. I've been out 3 times with no luck, so I'm just hoping I don't get skunked this time and we get a nice rockfish. But there is another reason I chose this day, because oddly, even though the weather is all messed up and windy, the reports say the swells are under 1 foot, which I could hardly believe. But then again, I guess we are kind of protected from the wind, so we'll see. But before we do, let me show you this fish I caught at the South Jetty a couple weeks ago, and part of that trip. It was pretty fun. My first attempt at getting out was about 3 weeks ago. I headed out to the South Jetty, and it was a big swell day. The swells were about 6 foot, but they were coming from the south. So I thought, well, maybe I could head on out there and try to do a little shark fishing like I did in Jurassic Shark. Because at 6 foot, coming from the south, you're not going to be able to fish at the South Jetty on the ocean side, but in the harbor side, yeah, you could probably get away with it, but not up close to the rocks, because that's just going to be all messed up. I've been out there before. So I thought, yeah, perhaps I could just do a little shark fishing out there in the harbor. Well, I got a bunch of hours of my pole sitting there not getting any shark bites, so I got bored and decided to head out and see if I could find maybe a couple holes in the jetty, see if there's any fish down there. If you look in the background, you can see a couple guys foil boarding, so they kept me entertained while I was out there shark fishing. This hole's like perfect, a couple of feet in there, and I dropped the line down, and it was about 2 feet deep, and I moved it over, and it dropped another 3 feet. So I thought, yep, gonna get a bite. Once I was able to get that bait down deep in that hole, didn't take long at all to get this bite. At least we caught one today. Nothing else. Wasn't a very big fish, but kept the trip from being a skunk. Not a lot of holes to choose from out there on the South Jetty, so we got lucky. A little grassy. Hey, I always confuse those grassies and gophers. Got to show it off to those foil boarders. And that foil boarding certainly looks interesting. I think it's amazing how shallow or how flat the wave can be, and those guys can still ride it. You see a few guys actually out there in the waves paddling to get into them, which is I find amazing. Then they pop up. It's just like they're flying after that. Got this nice shot of the curlews on the way out, since we didn't catch anything. But that wasn't the only attempt I made at fishing before I went out to Montana de Oro on that windy, wet day. About a week later, I went out back to the rock, and a subscriber told me that they used to dive next to the rock, and that's where halibut and flounder are sometimes. So I thought, that's too good to pass up. So here I am, out trying to see if I can hook me a flounder out right next by the rock. I should be using a Carolina rig with some nice squid or anchovy or something like that, or probably even a lure. But I'm using my standard rockfish setup. I've got a 2-ounce weight on the bottom, and about a foot up from that, I've got a 0.6 hook on a pre-tied line. Now I'm thinking for the halibut here, I want to cast about 4 feet away from the side of the rock. I think there's a nice little flow going right through there, because the float's out. The flow goes out right through there. It's a little rip current. So that's what we're talking about. When I cast, I have a tendency to miss to the right, so I always kind of look a little bit to the left and cast that way. This time worked out perfectly. However, we didn't get a single bite. Do one more camera session here. I'm going to change the batteries. Got a nice piece of squid. We want to cast right by that rock over there. So you saw the side of the rock right there. That's trying to cast 4 foot off to the side of that. And, like I said, I'm aiming a little bit to the left. Unfortunately, this time it goes exactly where I'm aiming. Sadly, it hits the rock, and then it slides down and gets stuck right there in the mussels. And then you see that seagull going right down. They just saw it. I'm going to cuss here in a second because the seagull is going to grab it. Notice there's not a seagull in the sky right now. There we go. Oh no, I just saw, oh crap. And now the seagull has got it, and it starts flying, and I'm thinking, oh my God, I don't want to get this seagull wrapped around the rock, so I'm trying to pull it in. It's not anything like pulling in a fish. At this point, it's like, your worst nightmare. It's exactly what you didn't want to have happen. But the seagull didn't seem to panic that much. He kind of calms down. But that's not the case for the rest of the seagulls. Look, they're starting to freak out. Yeah, at this point, I think I'm more freaked out than the seagull is. So I decide to reel it in. It's not going crazy, thank God. And I'm going to put my pole down and wedge it in to the rock there so the seagull can't fly off. I'm thinking I have a towel inside my backpack. I'm going to go get it. I'm going to go get a knife and a pair of pliers. And then, I see this later on, that the seagull just kind of pops up on the rock and waits for me. I've never done this, so I just tell myself to keep calm. So I'm really happy that the seagull is not freaking out. But you can see in the skies above me and from the sounds, the other seagulls are all freaking out. So I decided to try to get this towel over the seagull's eyes, and I put it on its back, and it just kind of calms down. And luckily, the hook just comes right out, no problem. But then when I let it go, my line gets wrapped around its wing, just one. And so I take my knife, and luckily it's very sharp. I just gently cut it and let it go. And thank God it just flew off. You saw that, yeah. Very happy at that point. But all the other seagulls are just going crazy. Sometimes that'll alert people in the park a lot, and they'll call the ranger or something. So got to watch out for that. But it's amazing how excited they got, how unexcited the other seagull was. So I'm sure he was, freaking out there. But anyway, I was kind of freaked out. I fished for a little longer, not too much, and then I decided I'm just going to pack up and get out of here. All right, pack up the bait, catfish, camera. Get the heck out of here. See what else we can find. Thinking of strike perch. Ran into this little fella on the way. He looked hungry, so I gave him a couple food pellets. As I said, I decided to come over and try to fish for some striped perch. If you remember when I cracked my rib last year, I would come over here and free dive a little bit, and that's when I ran into striped perch. So I figured I'd come over and see if I could catch any. I'm using the same setup I used to catch perch over the other side of the rock, but I didn't get a single bite. Probably better to come over and try to spearfish them. Then I decided to head on out to the front of the North Jetty, and on my way I hear this weird noise. He didn't like me showing up. Apparently I disturbed a young seal, and he wanted to tell me about it. When I was out there, I met a subscriber. That was him. His name was Dave. He came down from Oakland to do a little, take his chances on the North Jetty, inspired by one of my videos. It was nice talking to him. I took my normal spot at the very front of the North Jetty here and tried to cast in my usual spot also, but all I got was a bunch of snags and a lot of views of boats. It was fun, nice being out there, but lost a lot of gear. I always make my leaders ahead of time, when I wrap them around my little foam thing. I think you see them kind of line them up, have like 5 leaders, kind of like you got 5 shots before you have to tie on something. Plus, if you pre-tie them, if you have problems, you get out of them a lot faster. But, yeah. That's the whale watching boat. Hope they saw something. This sailboat came on out. I saw them a little later out there with another sailboat. They're kind of practicing maneuvers or something. Everywhere I cast, I get a snag. I don't know if it's just seaweed out there or the rain's put a bunch of rocks out there. I don't know. Whoa! With my knife. Yeah, I think it's slid all the way down.
Yeah.
I get those for 3 for $20. They get the cheapest ones you can get.
There you go.
Dropped my fillet knife down there. Dave was kind enough to try to get it for me, but it was way deep. So now let's return back to Montaña de Oro on the blustery day. Left trail to the easy spot. My plan for today was to go to the easy spot, as I call it. Unfortunately, the stairs to that spot were closed, so I had to go down to this cove. It was just another 100 yards or so down the beach, so it was no problem. There's my way I usually wrap up my leaders, just like I told you. Line them up. I've got like 5 shots to catch a fish before I have to tie some more. Each leader's about, 1.5 feet long. It's got a swivel on the top and a snap swivel on the bottom, and then I tie those 06 hooks on there, make a whole bunch of them while I'm sitting down, put my squid on them, and gets me ready to go. Now look at this, isn't it absolutely amazing? I mean, it's crazy windy up there, and the swell literally is under a foot. You can see there's a lot of energy in the water. It's like the surge is, pretty big, but still, that's amazing considering it's been storming the last few days, and it's still kind of got this residual crazy wind going on. That rock's about 30 yards in front of me, and I figure that's probably my best chance around there somewhere is to catch a fish, hopefully a lingcod. But we'll see what we get. I'll go for anything in this kind of weather. Didn't get any bites out there by there, so I decided to bring it in and fix it up again, and this time kind of cast inside the rock a little more towards the left. And that was the ticket. I immediately started getting some bites right in there. Feels like a nice fish, and he popped in a little hole here, so I stepped over to the side, and he slid right out after that. I was heading up there to show this fish off to the camera right when the chip got full and the camera shut off. But I kept it, I bled it out, and that one's going to be the star of the cooking segment of this video. We stopped getting bites in that area, and the tide was coming in anyway, so I wanted to head down to another area I thought would be protected, place I often go to also. Yeah, I've been back a few times. I caught a cab there one time, the side of the Lucky Reel. Haven't caught a cab there since, though, but it should be protected. Pretty sure the fish I caught was a gopher. We flay it out a little later on. We're going to cook that fish up coated with some Pringles. Crunchy Pringles on the outside. Let's see how that works. Yeah, the wind is even crazier out here. And look at these people enjoying a nice jog. I guess, you stay warm when you're running like that. They look like they're having a darn good time. How's it going? Here's a turn off to the cove. You can see it's crazy windy. I'll just give you the sped up version and a little music. Fishing under the rainbow. find my pot of gold over there somewhere. Okay, time to get out of here. I'm gonna go cook up that fish. I don't have any panko, so in lieu of that, I'm gonna try Pringles. I mean, Pringles gotta be good, right? We filleted this fish before we left Montana de Oro, but it was a wet day, so I was filming inside the waterproof boxes and it didn't come out, so you can't see it. But here they are. I'm now chopping them into fingers and starting to season them. I'm using a little black pepper. That's the lemon pepper seasoning, and then salt, and that's a flour, tablespoon or so. We're going to mix it all up so it gets nice and sticky. These are our Pringles. We're going to munch them all up there and crunch them down with our fingers first and then hit them with the old rolling pin. I also decided I wanted to make up some hush puppies, so I'm going to do that with out of the old standard corn mix that you get at the grocery store, the cheap stuff, Jivvy. Just make the batter a little thicker than you would for cornbread and then fry them up a couple minutes aside. You got to fry them, of course, before the fish because it might taste a little fishy. And my wife doesn't like fish, but she certainly likes hush puppies, so that's why we're going to make up these. Time to fry the fish, so we're going to start by whipping up some egg wash there. And there's some Pringles. Those got to be tasty. And get our oil up over there, over 350. Dip the fish into the egg wash, put them into the Pringles, and get them into the frying pan. With your oil over 350, should really only take a couple minutes to cook on each side to get it nice and crispy and brown. These two pieces cooked much faster than the other two, I think because the frying pan was slightly ajar, so we just, flip those and then move the pan around and heat it up that side. You can see that the Pringles browned up really nice, so just go ahead and remove your fish once the internal temperature is 145, 150, something like that. Took the other pieces a couple more minutes to get up to temperature, but that took the time to make up my plate. You can see I've got some nice lemon and a salad, a radish from my garden. There's my nice fish. It looks absolutely delicious. And of course, we put in a couple of those hush puppies. Look how good they turned out. Okay, let's try it. The Pringles coated rockfish. That is really nice. Not bad at all. Actually, I didn't think it would need salt, but it needs just a little salt. Actually, not only did it need salt, it really wasn't that crispy. It only took a short time after it came out of the oil for it to go soggy again. So I'd have to call this a fail. Pringles are a fail.